Hello everyone. This is my presentation on egg drop experiment. The objective of this experiment is to drop the egg from 3 meter high without getting it cracked using various materials and techniques, and to make conclusion what kind of materials that can absorb vibration and what technique to be used to reduce the speed. So let's check it out. My first design is I'm going to use a few materials to absorb the vibration. The materials are 2 Ziploc bags, bubble wrap, a carton box, and an egg. First, I put the egg in the Ziploc bags. Then, I wrap it with bubble wrap. Lastly, I put it in a tiny carton box and seal it up. My plan for the first design, I plan to drop the egg from 3 meters height. I cushioned the egg with Ziploc bag, bubble wrap, and a carton box. I used the Ziploc bag for the inner layer to protect the egg from the impact of the fall. I used 3 layers of bubble wraps for extra protection. Lastly, I put the protected egg in a cardboard box for additional protection from the impact of the fall. Here's my experiment for design 1. My second design is also using cushioning materials to protect the egg from the fall, but this time I'm using 2 Ziploc bags, newspaper, 2 carton box, an egg, and 2 plastic bags. First, I put the egg in the Ziploc bag. Then, I put the egg in a carton box. Then, I layer the second box with newspaper at the bottom and at the sides before I place the first box in. Lastly, I double it up with the second carton box and place a layer of newspaper on top before sealing it up. My plan for the second design. I plan to drop the egg from 3 meters height. I used the Ziploc bags for the inner layer to reduce the impact. Then, I put the first plastic bag on the bottom for extra cushioning and put the protected egg in. Then, I put the second plastic bag on top to make sure the egg doesn't move and further reduce of the impact. Then, I close the cardboard box. Lastly, I put a newspaper on the second cardboard box for extra cushioning. Next, I put the first cardboard box onto the second box to even further reduce the impact of the fall. Here is my experiment for design 2. For my third design, I still use cushioning method to reduce the impact of the fall. This time I use different materials. They are 2 Ziploc bags, a towel, 2 cardboard box, and an egg. First, I wrap the egg with the towel. Then, I put the cardboard box and seal it up. Lastly, I put the first box into the second box and seal it up. My plan for the third design is, I plan to drop the egg from 3 meter height. I use the Ziploc bag to cushion the egg from the impact, towel for extra cushioning, and 2 cardboard box for outermost protection. I use the Ziploc bag for the inner layer, and then I wrap the egg with a towel. Put it in the first box, and then put the first box in the second box. Here's my experiment for design 3. My fourth design. This is going to be a little bit different because not only for using cushioning technique, I also use a homemade parachute to reduce the speed, and so it can also reduce the impact. Materials that I use are a homemade parachute, a cardboard box, an egg, and bubble wraps. My plan for my fourth design. I plan to drop the egg from 3-meter height. My fourth design is a little bit different because I use a parachute to slow down the speed, as well as bubble wrap and a carton box to reduce the impact. I use a thin plastic sheet made from garbage, plastic bag, and some threads attached to the edges. And here's my experiment for design 4. This is the report of the speed of the eggs. I got the speed from dividing the height with the time from when I let go of the egg to when it touched the ground. The result for my first design is I drop it from 3 meters high, and the time I recorded was 1.85 seconds. So the speed is 1.62 meter per second. And for my second design, the height is 3 meters, the time is 1.73 seconds, and so the speed is 1.73 meter per second. My third design, the height is the same, 3 meters, the time I recorded is 1.88 seconds, the speed is 1.59 meter per second. My fourth design is, the height is still the same, 3 meters, the time is 2.99 seconds, but the speed is 1.03 meter per second. You can see when I'm using a parachute, the speed of the fall has been reduced significantly. This is the result of my experiment. I did not crack any of my eggs. So the conclusion for my experiment is, there are 2 ways that we can use to reduce impact of a fall. First, cushion the impact. This can be done by wrapping the goods we want to protect with materials that can absorb vibration or impact effect, such as bubble wrap, towel, cork. Number 2, reduce the speed. This can be done by attaching the goods you want to protect with materials that have large surface area. It can create more air resistance, thus reducing the speed of the fall. The reduction of the speed lowers the impact effect of the goods. Questions. Why do engineers design and build devices to help people? And the answer is, they design and build devices to solve problems and make life easier, safer, and more enjoyable for people. They identify needs, brainstorm ideas, create designs, and then bring those designs to life through building and testing. Their work spans everything from life-saving medical devices to everyday gadgets, all aimed at solving and improving the human life. Why the supplies might need to be dropped from a plane rather than delivered by a car or a truck. On certain occasions, supplies must be dropped by a plane instead of being delivered by car or truck because the place is really far away, remote, and hard to reach by road or in an emergency. Airdrops are faster, can reach remote or rural areas, and can deliver in a lot of quantity at once. It is helpful in the event of emergency or helping a lot of people at once. But there are some drawbacks, like more costly to do because we need to add wrapping materials, speed reduction tools, and some supplies may be damaged from the fall. Identify materials that cushion impact. Materials that cushion impact include foam, bubble wrap, rubber, gel, air, cork, and fabric. And the last question is, explain the difference between kinetic and potential energy. Kinetic energy is energy that is in motion, like a moving train or soccer ball that rolls into field. Potential energy is stored energy, like metal springs that can keep mechanical clock works without battery, or a golf ball that is sitting on a tee before it is being struck with a golf club. Thank you everyone. Bye.